Indianapolis. Tune in and praise AM 1310 95.1, Indy's inspiration station, and let your spirit soar.
Either you or him.
Him.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Pastor James Jackson. Welcome to Unity in the Community. We are here downtown Indianapolis. Praise AM 1310 95.1, Indy's Inspiration Station 317-972-3008. Again, that's 317-972-3008. If you'd like to be a part of our conversation on today, and we're talking about all things fitness and certainly mental health. And being fit mentally is as important, if not more important, than being physically fit, because certainly you can be physically fit. And if your mind is not where it needs to be, and if you don't have a healthy mind, well, your body is not going to benefit from that too much at all. So all things fitness for the first quarter. And of course, last week we talked about some herbal care. And again, we want to encourage you to go to Beloved Elderberry. Again, that's belovedelderberry.com for more information on herbs and wellness tips so that you can be healthy. They say it's flu season, cold season, and all that. But there are some natural remedies to build up your immune system to keep you healthy now and throughout the rest of your life. Today, we're going to be talking about mental health, dealing with some things that are going to be happening and talked about in this legislative session that's coming up, as they are all gearing up to discuss and fuss, if you will, about various issues that concern your quality of life and quality of place. And I'm going to be talking about some mental health, particularly for our young people. So you want to keep it locked right here on AM 1310, 95.1, Indy's Inspiration Station. Good to have you here. This show brings inspiration and hope to our community. And today we're going to be shining spotlight on a very urgent need that's close to our hearts, supporting our children through counseling in schools. That's right, counseling in schools in the heart of our communities. Our clergy and faith leaders certainly play a pivotal role. And today we're discussing how they, alongside in-school counselors, chaplains, can make a profound difference in the lives of our children, and particularly chaplains. Currently in Indiana, the need for mental health support in our schools is more pressing than ever. Recent statistics reveal that an astonishing number of our children are on waiting lists. That's just Indiana, not including all across America, for counseling services. And to put it in perspective, an estimated over 5,000 children are awaiting the help they desperately need. But here's a beacon of hope by integrating, at least hopefully, by integrating chaplains and faith leaders as counselors into our schools, which I certainly want to hear from you on that. We can bridge this gap. Faith leaders, chaplains, with their deep community ties and understanding of spiritual guidance, can offer unique support, complementing the work of professional counselors who do a wonderful job in our schools already, but they are overwhelmed with the tremendous need in our schools. So we want to talk about that today, and joining us on this afternoon is a good friend of mine, and she is just so talented, amazing, and awesome. She's always present with her daughter, who is just beautiful here today on the Circle downtown Indianapolis. I want to welcome to the program. We call her Whitley Yates, but her social media handle is Win James.
That's right. I'm excited to be here today and talk about this topic and kind of hear from the people on their views and perspectives on how people of purpose can be incorporated into the educational system to help support students.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, supporting our students. You almost need no introduction. You are the diversity director for the Republican Party for the state of Indiana, and was instrumental in getting me involved in the first diversity series. Mm-hmm. And it was wonderful and amazing experience, which there were in that first that first class, it was just a good cross section of
Yes.
people from all across the state of Indiana.
Absolutely. And now we have had 3 classes, and of the 3 classes, we've had our graduates secure a mayoral seat as well as a council seat. And so we will be announcing actually next week our 4th iteration of the class. So
Yeah.
4 years strong, helping to build leaders that believe in fiscal management, purpose, limited government, and being able to create and operate businesses that help the community thrive.
Yeah, my daughter went through the second class.
Yes, she did.
She really likes you too.
Yes, she did.
So you're doing a tremendous job. Diversity in the Republican Party, I think, is critical, especially now.
Yes.
And we talk about diversity as Black people. And I was talking to Bishop Jefferson the other day, and I said, it's interesting that everybody's interested in diversity until it comes to the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
And the line for diversity stops there.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that?
Yes. I mean, I think that there's a culture that the Republican Party isn't diverse, and they're consistently lambasted for it. But then whenever you see a person from a diverse background or that's racially different, they're automatically assumed to be ostracized. But I also think, and that's from the outside looking in, but I also think from the inside looking out, there's some challenging conversations happening about whether or not they want to expound, express, or even accept diversity themselves. They know that it exists, but a lot of times you will find on the Republican side that they don't want to advertise or even discuss diverse topics or issues. So I think that there is an external issue, and I think sometimes there's an internal issue when it comes to this. I think that what is important that we must do is explain the different dimensions of diversity, that it's not just racial, that it's socioeconomic background, that it's gender, that it's ableism and disabilities, and understanding the different dimensions in which people can still contribute and be able to share their perspectives and experiences through the lens in which they have lived.
Well, you're doing a brilliant job. And since I met you, I think when I first met you, you were working on Merit's campaign.
Yes.
And you all came to the church. And I said, this is a brilliant young lady here. And then, of course, got to know you a little bit better with the series. And I just want you to know you're doing a great job. But we didn't come here to talk about that, although that would be a great show.
Yes, it would.
We want to talk about Senate Bill 50. In this legislative session that's coming up would permit chaplains to serve in public schools as counselors providing secular support. An amendment to the bill allows them only to provide religious support if a parent or emancipated minor gives permission. There's going to be a lot of fuss over this bill, certainly, and there's already some fuss over it. So I wanted to have you come in and just kind of share your thoughts on it and what you have been hearing. We have a lot of young people who need counseling, and this show is formatted. Dion Livingston, many, many years ago, formatted it to deal with problems in our community from a biblical perspective. And of course, the Bible says there's safety in the multitude of counselors. So the Bible supports counseling.
Absolutely.
And this is something I was talking to some folks on my staff about several months ago, about implementing some kind of program called Multitude of Counselors, where we get ministers and clergy certified to operate as counselors to help our schools, because we have so many kids on the waiting list.
Right. So it's interesting that you say that, because the Indiana School Counselor Association said that there are just under 700 students for every one counselor, and the recommended ratio is 250. So I really believe that this bill came out of the need to build up a bench of counselors and people that are well trusted within our school system to help guide our future generations. So the intentionality of the bill and the need of the bill is very evident, that we need people that are guiding, leading, and counseling the children. What this bill does in particular is that it provides a way, and it is a it is a may, not a you must. So we got to get that under control, that it is not a mandatory thing that is being said. It's just an option that is available, that a principal, superintendent, public or charter school may employ a chaplain to provide such counseling services and report different things of their findings back to the counselors in the school corporation to help fill the gap and maintain a bridge when it comes to the number of students and counselors needed in the school.
And as you've indicated, that statistic right now, that's a big gap with the number of students to counselors, and so counselors are overwhelmed. So to get some more help in there certainly would help them and would help our community.
Absolutely.
We have seen a severe uptick in juvenile crime
Mm-hmm.
here in Indianapolis, particularly when it comes to guns and things like that. Young people shooting and young people actually getting shot and dying.
Mm-hmm.
And the age now has been as young as 15. I think at one point we had a 14-year-old, but commonly now 15, 16-year-olds out with guns and a lot of violence. And a lot of this emanates out of childhood trauma. And a lot of these kids, I think, if they had someone to talk to, perhaps the outcomes could be different.
Absolutely. And I think that empowering schools with the flexibility to be able to utilize chaplains in this way is great. And I think that the faith-based community should be the backbone and the vertebrae of helping to guide and lead the next generations. And that the duty of service to the people does not just stop at the boundary of the church door. And that there are ways for chaplains and those who have been in ministry to be utilized within other areas that may not be faith based inside of a church, leading maybe a congregation, but they could be then in the schools. But one of the components or caveats of the bill that I think is important is that the chaplains, would have to hold a master in divinity, theology, religious studies, or a related field with at least 2 years of counseling experience. So it's not just any and everyone, it's those that have been educated within this field and have also counseled people for at least 2 years.
And I think and I'm glad that you brought that up, because they're not just throwing people in there.
Exactly.
Because they say they love Jesus.
Right. You can't go online and get a certificate off some divinity school online and say that you're able and qualified. So there are educational requirements for that.
So your thoughts on the people who are already talking about the separation between church and state. So when you start talking about having chaplains or faith-based or religious people coming into the schools, state-sponsored schools,
Mm-hmm.
people say, well, there's a separation between church and state. We don't want chaplains or pastors or clergy to come in and do that. What do you say to folks who have that issue?
Well, I think it's a very valid issue to have, to be honest. And it is something that I would also be worried about. But what I think the bill addresses is that it is for secular support, and it is not for any type of spiritual guidance unless it has been approved by the parent or emancipated child. So we don't have to worry about them providing spiritual support unless the parents have given permission to do so. It is to provide secular support for their educational, career, journey, life, etc. And so I think that there are provisions within the bill that address this based upon that amendment. So we don't have to worry about that. I mean, to be honest, when we're looking at chaplains, they are people as well. They could have applied or become school counselors as well, because they have the necessary educational requirements to do that. And so I think that with the bill and the caveats placed within the bill, there's a protection to make sure that there isn't, religious indoctrination, which is what I believe people would be most fearful of.
Yeah, but I think this is headed in the right direction. They're going to have to hammer it out, Republicans and Democrats and
Mhm.
all these folks are going to have to talk through this. But I think it's right-headed. I think it's going to be great. I have a master's in divinity
Mhm.
and 28 years of counseling experience. I would be a good candidate for that if I wanted to do that. But in the community, we've heard people say, whether they were Democrats or Republicans or independents, that this issue we're facing is a heart issue.
Mhm.
And when I look out and I see young black men and now young black women,
Mhm.
it used to be when you heard about people getting killed. And that's not that all our children who need counseling are going out and killing somebody. That's
Right.
certainly. But with regard to violence, we are losing a lot of people. We're losing men now and young women.
Mhm.
So we're talking about losing a race of people if we don't intervene. And sometimes a lot of this could be dealt with if we could get in and talk to our children, making sure that they're healthy
Mhm.
spiritually, physically, and mentally.
Absolutely. I mean, I've never heard anyone say, I don't need any more mentorship, or I don't need any more counseling or someone to talk to or to help guide me along this journey. I mean, I think that providing schools and administrations with another tool in the toolbox to help guide the future generations is a positive thing. And I believe, in particular, when we're looking at the Black community and the issues that we face, we're always advocating for more mentorship and we're always advocating for strong role models. And so I think that this honestly provides another level of engagement for people to get active and to be able to help in ways to shape the younger generations, which I know, based upon statistics and the activities in which they're partaking, is in need of that level of guidance.
All right, everybody needs somebody to talk to.
Everybody needs somebody to talk to.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got a few callers that are going to give their input, 317-972-3008. And we're also very glad to have folks streaming on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook. We got them all up there. X, now formerly known as Twitter. All but Instagram is up there. So, but anyway, thank you all for being here. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more after this.
Let the
We got
One
3.5.
VIP Visa debit
What do you
card
say?
make
Got
getting your
3.5.
tax refund simple and easy. It's free to get and no credit check. Enroll in direct deposit and get your refund back faster than waiting for a check in the mail. Hassle-free and easy, just like it should be. Go to onevip.com and get your card today. The One VIP Visa prepaid card is issued by Stride Bank NA. Member FDIC, pursuant to a license from Visa USA Inc. Use of the One VIP card is subject to terms
It's
and
nice to meet
conditions.
you, Win. Sorry I'll be in this seat over here, kind of just tucked away. It's nice to meet you.
What'd you say?
Said it's nice to meet you. I'm sorry I'll be in the seat tucked away over here.
That's
One of the
okay,
best
you too.
employers in the state by Forbes magazine, and the #1 health system in Indiana for community benefit by the Lown Institute. Eskenazi Health provides excellent benefits, competitive pay, and unwavering leadership support. Learn how a career at Eskenazi Health can benefit you by visiting eskenazihealth.edu/careers.
Who we got on there? We got MLK.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is
Okay.
80%
Larry.
water, right?
80% water.
Start with Larry.
I thought I was getting a better deal because
Yes,
it's so big.
If you want a better clean,
Okay.
Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thing.
But we also have to think about this.
If you want a real
Um,
deal, try Tide Pods. Don't pay for water. Pay for clean.
The-
If it's got to be
when
clean,
we think
it's got to be
happens,
Tide Pods.
Water
it
content
comes
based on the
from
leading
the
bargain
lens
liquid
of
detergent.
Catholicism or Christianity.
The largest gospel concert of all
There
Star
are
Weekend is
other
headed to
entities
Indy.
that
Get your tickets today to see the Legends of Gospel Thursday, February 15th
Right.
at Clues Hall
So-
with Donnie McClurkin.
You have to think about the full spectrum of who could be exactly.
Hezekiah Walker.
Exactly. And I saw there was like a statue in the state house in another state.
Anthony Brown in group therapy.
Because they let other churches, have space once a year to put up some type of a display, they had
Plus,
to
this
let
legendary
this
night of gospel will feature a special guest honoree, NBA legend and
that,
Indianapolis
you know what I mean?
native
And it was
Oscar
like
Bill
very
Robertson.
evident.
Get your tickets now for the biggest gospel concert all
But
star
once
weekend.
again, the
The
idea
Legends of
of
Gospel,
that
hosted
religious
by Graham
freedom
from
has
Gate
to be
Morning, Thursday, February 15th at Clues Hall. Tickets available now at the Clues Hall box office and praiseindy.com.
I think when it comes
Ever
to
wondered where the
this,
Fiesta's
I'm
at?
glad
Follow
that
the
that
sizzle
caveat
and the
of
irresistible
only
aroma to
spiritual
the
if
only place where every
your
Thursday
parents say that
guacamole
it's
dances
okay,
with chips for just
because then it
$5
at
and
least
tacos
allows
tango at $2 a pop. Thursday
buffer.
evenings just got a whole lot livelier with live mariachi music. Coco Bongo is not just a restaurant, it's a destination. Where else can you dive into an ocean of seafood like Chipotle shrimp while sipping on $5 margaritas? Whether you're celebrating your cumpleaños or just the end of a workday, the lively atmosphere
back at
at Coco
30?
Bongo turns any occasion into a full-blown celebration. Located at 5341 West 10th Street between West 10th Street and Lyndhurst, Coco Bongo Mexican Restaurant and Seafood, where every night is a party waiting to happen. And remember, amigos, hydrate with an ice-cold beer or a Jamaica Agua Fresca in between those flavor-packed fajitas and seafood marvels. Call Coco Bongo today at 317-405-8097 for reservations or to-go orders. That's 317-405-8097. Coco Bongo.
All right, we're back. Unity in the community, beautiful downtown Indianapolis, and we've got AJ on the controls. I think it's his beautiful daughter here, coloring, and Whitley's beautiful daughter. We got some children here. They're just so wonderful. And Whitley is here in her green. I said, well, what is the, when she came, I said, what does the green stand for?
I'm attracting money right now. We got NBA All-Star coming into the city, a lot of money pouring in over the next week, and I definitely want to be a magnet for provision. So
yeah, let some of it flow your way.
That's right.
All right, pastors, I need you all to call 317-972-3008. Again, pastors, especially those of you who have masters in divinity, doctorates in divinity, this is your time. We're not going to only be able to talk about this, but we're going to have to go down to the State House when they open up the floor to advocate for this bill, to go down there. And maybe you support it, maybe you don't. I'm not going to be presumptuous to think that every pastor or clergy person is in support of this bill. 317-972-3008, whether you're in support of it or not. Certainly want to hear from you on this afternoon. We do have some callers going to Anonymous. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. How are you today, both of you?
Good, thank you.
I'm blessed and highly favored.
Oh, good. I was calling because I want to talk about, I've spoken to this several times on the radio, but I think it's needful to talk about it again. A non-for-profit organization called Circle City Clubhouse in the Indianapolis area. And what we do is we help people with severe mental illness get their lives back to a meaningful work order day. What that means is they come into the clubhouse, even though they have a mental illness, and we basically tell them welcome home, no stigmas, no isolation, no rejection, total acceptance. What you say, what you do, how you feel is important to us, you're valued, you're needed and wanted. And people with mental illness respond to that. A lot of people have been institutionalized or in group homes or what have you, and been told all their lives what they can and can't do, when they get up, when to go to bed, when they take their medication. But here at the clubhouse, we tell them, we ask them, what is it that you want to do? And because of that simple question, a lot of people respond. They get involved with what we call a work order day, and they do anything from mopping the floor to working on the computer, to traveling, doing whatever they feel like they mentally are able to do, and it strengthens them. It gives them that ability to focus and feel like they belong and have a sense of community. And the reason why I'm saying this and why it's important is that a lot of people in the African-American community do know someone with a severe mental illness, and we invite them to come to the clubhouse. We want them to feel that they're a part of something big and that they can contribute. A lot of people are incarcerated who have severe mental illness. We work alongside with mental health facilities and mental health businesses that specialize in medications and making sure that they get the proper medication that they need. And we strengthen that in them, and then we allow them to get involved in the work order day.
All right. You there?
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
here.
if you wrap it up for me, we've got several other callers, and I want to be able to get them in too.
Okay, so if you know someone with a severe mental illness, you can give us a call at 317-260-8058 or 317-709-8013. We're part of Clubhouse International, which is 360 clubhouses worldwide.
Thank you, and thank you for your service and sharing that with us this afternoon. All right, 317-972-3008. Going to Larry, and then Brother Imhotep. Larry, welcome to the program.
How you doing, Pastor? You know, I wish that the black...
Great, Larry. Give me a chance to tell you how I'm doing.
I know you. All right.
I'm doing great, Larry.
Good for you. But in any case, I wish our black church would not get involved in this on this level. They don't need to have any more counselors or anything else in public schools pushing dope. The state should not be trying to acquiesce into something like this, because what ends up happening is when you get pastors and you get people, lay people that are going into our schools, it can come down to one thing: selling dope. I wish that the Republican Party.
Larry, can you clarify how pastors coming into the schools equates to selling dope?
It does equate to it, because in every pulpit across this city, pastors are preaching mental illness. They're preaching some sugar diabetes or anything else that they can preach on their congregation to make them a part of some pharmaceutical enterprise, rather than just sticking to their code and preaching Christ and the gospel and deliverance and salvation. They are wandering off of their prescribed methods. But I think that the Republican Party, I will protest this bill, because we don't need to have any more confusion. We need to have industrial schools, and it's so arbitrary, Pastor Jackson, because it's a May. Whenever you get legislation with May, it's arbitrary. It can be done here in Indianapolis, where there's a large population of black kids. And, you know, Bill Crawford said one time 85% of the children in foster care need some kind of pharmaceutical help. That's a big market. That's money. In other counties around this state, they have industrial schools where they allow their young kids that they say will be in trouble, here, come to the industrial school and learn a trade, learn how to be obedient, and learn what obedience means. When you have a level and a square and a measuring tape that you can lay down something and come back and it'll still be the same, rather than some person trying to come in and counsel you who can't even counsel himself, that you need to learn how to make a living for yourself. The Republican Party, I mean, any Republican I see or see down at the State House, I don't want anything to do with this. People need to learn how to work, Pastor Jackson. And the more you get these sidebar conversations going on about people that want to help, you can't help yourself. We need to mind our own business. The black people who have made it to a certain extent need to leave other people alone and mind their own business, because we're never going to pull out of this mess if we keep on talking about 95% of our kids are mentally retarded, right. This and that. The white people are not doing that to their kids. They have industrial training schools.
All right, Larry, thank you for your call and comment. We got to move on. We got Brother Imhotep in Mayhem. Brother Imhotep, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Pastor Jackson. Mr. Yates, how you doing there today? Thank you.
I'm great.
Great.
I'm great.
One day you can expound on how Pastor Darrell Scott is really trying to save the Republican Party from being ostracized and alienating black folks. I tell you, he's doing a great job on Twitter and attacking Charlie Kirk and all of them, but that's another day. Going to counseling, having volunteered in the schools the last 5 years. See, everybody talk about what schools need to go into a school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been into many schools the last 5 years. Many of them, with grandchildren and others. You need to go into the schools first. Schools have been cut. Social services and social workers have been cut. Funding has been cut, I know for a fact. It's been cut. So I don't know how you're going to fund this, first of all, when you cut it from funding the people who actually was ready to be there and do it. That's one problem. Another problem is, as a mentor, coach, I've been a coach almost 15 years, been a mentor probably close to 30 years. I've coached at TAB 7 years, Illinois before that, POW, coached at POW this year. Soccer starts with TAB. The children that I see that have the most amount of probably counseling needed, New Boy with Kareem Hines over there, don't have fathers involved. I met Kareem Hines at a conference with him. New Boy over in the summer. There was about 66 children there. And Mr. Hines, Kareem asked everyone there, all the children, 66 children, who goes to bed at night and wake up that morning with their dad in the house every night. And only 2 children raised their hand out of 65. So all the counseling that's going to be needed is going to have to be directed and probably from a fatherly perspective, because when it's in our community, I mean, that's a lot. We talk about 2 out of 65. You got a problem. And so that is more of an issue than what Larry talking about with industrial training and throwing things like that. And talking about what white folks do. It's not true. Being a healthcare professional for 30 years, plenty of white people are on medication, on drugs, a whole lot. Matter of fact, the opioid epidemic and the lawsuits and stuff like that, definitely geared because of white folks who've been on it. Brett Favre, matter of fact, was I think one of the first professional athletes who was white, Larry, who said he was stuck on Vicodin. And so let's stop that, please. It's a national problem when it comes to that. But I think if we can try to get geared to get our children in touch and get our families back together, get that counseling, get family counseling done too, and get more rooted in trying to get. Even if you've been divorced, if you break up, hey, you still got to parent. We still need our dads around. That's what I see from coaching. That's what I see. I'm on the ground. That's what I see. I don't see enough of my dads, especially from 40 and over, I'll see them. But from 18 to 30, and I know they have children, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 probably, so I'm early 30s, definitely got 10-year-olds. I don't see them. And so that's the problem that I'm seeing, and that if you talk to many other coaches and many other people who are involved in these organizations around here, that's what we're seeing. So I will hope that maybe some focus and money can be put in on that, some conflict resolution centers and stuff like that, and the children can become whole, and people can get it from both sides and not have to go, because the anger is there, and a lot of that anger, I've heard them speak it, a lot of that anger is because of a lack of their dads around, and some moms who have left them around too. And thanks for taking my call.
All right, Brother Emotep, thank you. When we got a rainy day fund.
Well,
not that it'll come from there, but it is raining.
I got to push back a little bit. I do agree a lot with having a nuclear family and a strong family unit, and how that helps reduce trauma and produce healthy children. But Indiana, and the state of Indiana, they have invested more money than ever before in evidence-based social services. So there was a grant given to FSSA specifically for in-school evidence-based social service programs, and that was for $3.5 million. Then you've got IU, and their School of Social Work was given $5.7 million for K through 12 education. Then you've got IU Kokomo South Bend, who was given $4.4 million for K through 12 social work, support work, mental health. There's been tons of money flowing into the K through 12 school system to address these types of problems. So there's a lot of support out there. And if you're not seeing the production of that, I think we need to go ahead and head to those school board meetings and hold the school board accountable for what's happening in the schools. Because when I tell you there is money flowing for evidence-based social work supportive programs in K through 12 schools all around the state of Indiana, there is.
I think some of this money will probably be appropriated at the federal level.
Absolutely.
To come down to the state and then be doled out, and hopefully. And that's the reason why I said, pastors who are listening, it is important that we get involved, because we want to make sure Marion County gets its fair share of the monies that will be distributed to deal with these kinds of problems. We got mayhem coming up next. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more after this.
Lock us in and connect with Praise Indy on our new listener lines. 317-972-3008. From your inspirational requests to joining our community discussions, this is the only number you need. 317-972-3008. That's 317-972-3008. The new way to connect with Indy's inspiration station. Praise AM 1310, 95.1 FM.
It's Dr. Kyle here from Transformative Family Dentistry. Here at Transformative Family Dentistry, we're changing how people in Indianapolis feel about going to the dentist. It's not just our top tier work, our latest technologies, and superstar staff that makes us great. We provide judgment-free, personalized care in a safe and comfortable space where your unique needs and care come first. Go to transformdentistry.com to learn more and book your first appointment. I'm Dr. Kyle Ratliff, and I cannot wait to help you transform your smile.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there, providing hot meals, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love.
They just really genuinely just want to help me succeed and not succeed.
That's how my mind
To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Are you facing an unexpected financial emergency? You need WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com can help you get up to $3,000 fast. WeFixMoney.com is free to use, available 24/7, and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Go to the name you trust. WeFixMoney.com. If you need emergency cash up to $3,000 for bills or anything else, type WeFixMoney.com directly into your browser. That's WeFixMoney.com.
$3,000 to fix my transmission?
My AC is going to cost $1,500. Wait, $2,000 to replace the starter?
You can't avoid car breakdowns, but with Coverage X, you're no longer stuck with those ridiculous repair bills. Whether it's the transmission, engine, or electronics, Coverage X's vehicle protection plan has you covered. Coverage X is unlike the rest. We do everything in-house. Just make a claim, take your car to an ASE certified mechanic, and your car is taken care of from start to finish. Call today for flexible month-to-month plans that'll fit every budget. And all plans include free roadside assistance. With Coverage X, never ever pay costly auto repair bills again. Call 800-903-9241 or visit CoverageX.com. Senior, military, and bundle discounts available too. With Coverage X for your car, those unavoidable, unaffordable repair bills are covered. Online at CoverageX.com or 800-903-9241. 800-903-9241.
Where does all the time go? Headed to the top of the hour, 317-972-3008, 317-972-3008. Talking about Senate Bill 50. Let me talk about this legislative session coming up. Mayhem, thank you for your patience. Welcome to the program.
Hey, how's it going? Good show, good idea. I'm glad to hear a different perspective. Sometimes we need accountability. I know y'all didn't want to go in depth. Some of them other organizations and what Hotep and all of them, they need to be honest. It really is no kind of like the young lady said, it's money there. Some of them things he's talking about, they have no accountability. They're outdated and really need to be investigated because we want to know what you're doing with the money. And I never hear any solutions when I hear people talk. And some of the organizations, all of them, like I said, I'm going to keep on saying it. We need to know what you've been doing with the money and where's the success and where's the accountability. I'm glad y'all giving a different side and a perspective about it. It's just, I'm not trying to be funny. These liberals in the black community really have no accountability, no success, and we keep on backing them. We need another alternative. Like I said, I'm going to say this, I'm going to get off. The radio station is too slanted to liberals with no solutions. Hey, have a good one.
All right, man, thank you for your call and comment.
Some shots were fired there. I say that there is beauty in depth and dialogue and the dimensionality of having balanced perspectives. So I agree with you that we must have balanced perspectives in all parts of life.
Yes. And when you talk about balanced perspective, I mean, we're looking at, for everybody who perhaps would be against this, and the bill's going to be out there. I think it can work for everybody.
I do too.
You know, I think there are some things that are bipartisan, and this is, I think, something that should get bipartisan support and really do really, really well in the state legislature.
Yeah.
I think.
And if you are against Senate Bill 50, then I would implore you to get more people hired as guidance counselors to meet the need of the 700 students to one counselor that we currently have.
More than 5,000 on the waiting list.
Yes, exactly.
You always multiply by 2.
So go ahead, and I would challenge you in grassroots organizing and getting those with the educational requirements necessary to get hired as guidance counselors.
Yeah. 317-972-3008. My good friend, Pastor Richard Willoughby. Thank you for calling. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, how you doing, Pastor Jackson?
Good.
I just heard the young lady. How you doing, young lady? I guess I can call you young lady too, because I'm 68. But I just heard you mention about the monies and the hospitals that were getting millions of dollars, and they've already allocated millions of dollars to different places. But the difference is, unless these hospitals are associated with the school systems where the problem is really, you can see it, you know, in IPS, you know, where our children go to school, that's where, and I think that you were answering that on the end before you switched over to me, that they're going to have some kind of counseling in these school systems, because it is very much needed. But if they're not going to where the black and brown in the community are going to school, if the money's not being allocated and the guidance counselors are not there, you got to understand, like I got a friend up in Carmel, and they group of pastors, they pastor about a 13,000 member church, and they saying they're having the same demographics that we're having in Indianapolis, and it's just a different kind of drug and a different kind of this and a this. They, you know, some since they got some families, they pray the father don't come home. But and I heard the conversation about the fathers, and most of this is attached to the absentee of the fathers. We used to have a program here, and it was very well funded, and we advocated for the fathers to be in the household. But if the money is not going where our children are, and the people are not being placed where our children are, they're not going to get the help, and we won't see no change in our community.
Absolutely. I just wanted to make a clarifying statement that the IU that I'm talking about is the School of Social Work. And the different IU, it's not the hospital, but it's the universities that are producing the different social workers and those who are getting a Master of Social Work in all these different counties around the state of Indiana. So there's been money pumping in to employ and equip the different social workers that are going into the school system.
And we need them to go to work at our schools.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying, because if you know, you can educate. I know a few people over at IU. Matter of fact, yeah, I know one of them personally. But if it doesn't get to where it's needed, if we don't know how to do that, then where will the change come from?
Well, and I also think this is a double-edged sword, because I think if we are saying that we need mentors and guidance counselors in our communities that look like us, how are we then helping to produce that bench of talent and to cultivate those future leaders? Are we telling our children, grandchildren, et cetera, that they should be going into this field? Are we helping them to understand the need? I think it's a double-edged sword. Yes, we need it, but we also have to be active in our activism and approach to solving problems within our own community.
Right. And they don't have to look like us. They just have to be concerned about us, because I'm associated with Pastor Jackson knows what group I'm talking about.
Yeah, Faith in Indiana.
Yeah. I'm associated with a group that's doing exactly what you are suggesting. And they don't have to, look like us. They just have to care about us. And they just need to know what the situation really is. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
All right, Pastor.
We need help in the community.
Yes.
All right, Pastor Willoughby, thank you for your call and comment. And certainly would like to see as many as those who are concerned. The Bible says God will perfect those things that concern us.
Mm-hmm.
But I certainly would like to see as many Black and brown men and women as possible who are qualified and can get qualified to be part of this. Research shows that in-school counseling significantly benefits our children, leading to improved academic performance, better social skills, and a decrease in behavioral issues. It's not just about academics. It's about nurturing well-rounded, resilient individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Whitley, currently, a lot of our kids are being impacted and influenced by the music industry, social media, reels, what they see on Facebook and Twitter, now known as X. And there's I'm losing track of, there's so many, Discord. It's interesting they have an app called Discord.
It's called TikTok.
And there are people on there that are talking about all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But to have a real person who can talk to our kids in school counseling is at the crux of this, is beneficial.
Absolutely. I think we have to realize that the times have changed. While people usually will act and be about the same time and time again, the times have changed. And the latest currency that we have right now is attention. Attention is one of the largest currencies that's paying high dividends. And the attention of our children has been focused into their tablets and electronics. And so if the new currency is attention, and they are focusing that attention on the apps and Roblox and the TikToks and all of these different elements, we have to find a way where we're able to impact them outside of the digital space and in the real world, so we can kind of combat what they're receiving and how they're being influenced online.
That's interesting. You use that term, attention is the new currency.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of these influencers on social media. They want to get people's eyeballs on what they're saying or doing. Some of the craziest stuff you're going to ever see, you'll see on TikTok.
Absolutely.
But it's people's attention, and that's what it's all about. So our kids, and I've talked to some educators, some administrators, and the need is big. A lot of our children are, of course, all children, but especially Black and brown children, are dealing with childhood trauma and have nobody to talk to about it. And so having some help, and I don't see this as a replacement.
No.
Because there might be some folks who are listening. What would you say to those folks who think that this is a replacement for those who are already doing the work?
I would understand why that thought process and ideology would be out there. I think that I would challenge them to say that it would be more of a replacement if it was a mandate and not an option. So if this is an option that is available, it does not have to be utilized by any school boards, by any administrations, by any principals, etc. It is just an option. If it was mandated, then I think that we would have a problem, because it's telling us who it should be. We are providing options to fix a need that already exists. And as I stated before, if this is not the way in which you believe our school system should be leaning when it comes to fixing the shortage of counselors, then I would implore you to cultivate and create a movement unlike any other to have high school counselors, elementary school and middle school counselors hired at an alarming rate to fill the need.
All right, 317-972-3008. See a need, meet a need.
See a need, meet a need.
We got an anonymous caller. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this topic and the subject and your speaker. It is all wonderful and much, much needed. So the issue that I see is that there's so many of these agencies, pop-up agencies, that don't mean any disrespect, that are out here in the community to help the youth, but they're not being checked in on. Are they really helping the youth? What is their credibility? Because you got a program doesn't mean that you actually have the skill set to do what is needed, without re-traumatizing those children. The other part is the social work pay is so disrespectful. It's just as disrespectful as the teachers' pay. So you can't get people in there, or good people, or people to stay, because they don't want to pay you.
I cannot disagree that when it comes to making sure that those that are working within our educational system, charged with rearing up the future generations and our future leaders, are not receiving the pay necessary to lead lives that would be indicative of thriving. What I will say, though, is the state of Indiana has been funding teachers in schools, and has created a provision as of last year that at least 35% of all money given to schools must go to the teachers. There are some school districts that are in alignment and that are meeting this, and there are other school districts that are not. And teachers' pay and the pay of those affiliated with the school goes through the school board. So how are we showing up in these local elections? I know it's so easy to focus on the national politics and what's happening, but how are we showing up at the school board to know who's voting for how the budget is spent, who's voting on how teachers are receiving and getting their pay allocated? Because that is the direct body that is over this issue. And I think we have to be more diligent in understanding that and holding them accountable if we're not seeing the support from an administrative level when it comes to pay.
You're absolutely correct. And I don't know if that's works the same for the social workers or the counselors in the school, because their pay is low as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they come, straight out of school, but they won't stay long because they can get a better paying job somewhere else without all the tension and stress that is put upon them to meet certain criteria for the school system.
I would definitely agree with that. I think in a lot of social service fields where you have social work and people that are providing that type of support, it is usually underfunded and overlooked. And that is something that we should change. I think that we have the ability to pivot and to expose and to allow for people to understand why we should be valuing these types of roles. I think,
everybody uses the social worker
exactly.
at some time or another, whether it's there, the hospital, the clinic, or whatever. That's like someone always needs a social worker somewhere in the workload, but we're the lowest paid.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you look for another way of funneling your money, because the student loans aren't going away. So you still got to pay the student loans, right?
Absolutely.
And so you're paying more on the student loan than you are bringing home. And so it's a struggle. It's a constant struggle. You want to do the job. You love the children. You love the work that you're doing, but
mm-hmm.
you're just not adequately paid to do that. Now, I did see on television, I think it's Martindale Brightwood is trying to create affordable housing for teachers, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more than just teachers in that school. There's social workers in that school. There's
Absolutely.
Other people. There's counselors in those schools that need the same benefits that they are trying to help the teachers get to stay within their community as well.
Absolutely. And I would say that, money flows where attention goes. So you see a lot of investment into entertainment and sports, and not a lot of investment into other things. It's because the attention of those that are divvying out the money seems to be going towards what we're consuming the most. And so if we want to be consuming social work and education and evidence-based support services in schools and all of these different things, then we need to start consuming, exposing, and amplifying these types of things so that we can see the money flow where our attention is going.
All right, thank you for your call and comment. The average annual pay for a school guidance counselor in Indiana, according to ZipRecruiter, is $55,042 a year. which comes out to about $26.46 an hour. In Rhode Island, the 10 highest paying states for high school counselors: Rhode Island 69,000 plus, Washington 69,000 plus, California $81,350 per year.
Mm-hmm.
So Indiana is lagging down there at 55 for such an important issue.
But in comparison, 55 in Indiana and 80 in California, where our cost of living is drastically different. I thought it was going to be lower, like 37, 30. I thought it was going to be lower than that. So I'm actually.
So you're saying it's not bad?
I'm saying in comparison to what you just named, living on the East Coast and making 60, or living in Indiana and making 55, I'm taking Indiana all day.
Would it be extraordinary to double that?
I don't think it would be extraordinary to do any of those things, but how are we going to pay for it? We are in a time in a season where we're trying to make sure our third graders can read. So we're trying to fund reading and intervention. And so doubling that to me doesn't seem like sound fiscal decision. I think that there are a lot of issues we got to focus on. And we have to be very diligent about how we're spending the money and what we're prioritizing in that order.
All right, Whitley, thank you. Thank you for your time and talent. We appreciate you, and keep on doing the good work. Thank all of you who are our listening audience for being here, especially those of you who are on the radio and streaming with us. And from all of us here, we like you, we love you, and you make us smile. We'll see you next time.
Cherishing Lives Personal Care Services, a premier home care agency providing the best in-house care for your loved one. Cherishing Lives Personal Care Services is comfort to they accept private pay, Medicaid, and VA clients. Cherishing Lives Personal Care Services also provides non-medical transportation.